Hey guys, Matt Dog here with another video. This time we're doing a 40 card Eldlich build. So instead of messing around with using Horus cards, using 60 card grass into transaction rollback, copying elemental burst, not even using simultaneous equation cannons, like actually using our extra deck. Look at this, we have 3 monsters just for like linking off normal non-effect trap monsters so that we can start using them to make like a solo hat rabbit and SP little knight. Like really truly pure Eldlich. And I've been having a lot of fun. I got to master 2 with this variant. And not to get too, I might have been able to get to master 1, but I had a really complicated duel when I was like, okay, I need to run off and do some errands. Then I came back and then the season was over. I thought I had more time, but whatever. Master 2, from Master 5 to Master 2 in like a couple of hours. Really easy time, a lot of fun. And this is an example of why I really enjoy the pure 40 card variant over some of the 60 card variants that use like grass and reasoning and stuff. This is a field that like a lot of people would have a huge trouble dealing with. This card protects the linked monsters from being destroyed by battle or card effects. 2 monster negates, a spell trap negate, and we can't activate any spell cards. So reasoning, grass, all that stuff. If we just had a single copy of evenly matched, then this card deals with it. So a lot of my variants, and frankly a lot of other decks, would have a lot of trouble dealing with this. They activated Max C, so if we're summoning a bunch of Horus monsters, then that's too bad. But with a pure Eldlich deck where you just have a bunch of trap cards, set 5 trap cards, pass turn. And it's that simple. Now we're going to be able to Karma Cannon when they go to battle phase. When they try to negate it, we'll Solemn Strike them. And it's basically something you might have seen like a few years ago, except replace Karma Cannon with Torrential Tribute. And like a couple years ago, they don't have this destruction protection. So negate, Solemn Strike, bam, goodbye. And now we also have Summon Limit, so they can't make any more plays. I think Summon Limit is getting banned soon, but I would probably replace. I'll talk about replacements for cards that are getting banned in the future, but it's really not that big a deal. All right, our turn. Now, obviously, I stole their spellcaster for a couple of reasons. One, because now they're the ones who are locked out of using spell cards. We can get a draw too. And secondly, it's like material to make like an SP Little Knight or something. Draw 2, destroy a couple of cards, we don't really care. Get those in the grave. SP Little Knight to banish the double monster negate 5,000 attack guy. Activate Lord of Heavenly Prison. Here I think I could have, oh no. So the reason I left Conquistador here instead of getting rid of it with Eldlich and summoning Eldlich back is because I wanted to be able to activate Conquistador whenever I want at like the end of the turn and then summon Lord again to get a draw or something. You might be hearing my little dog in the background. She's being cute. Yeah, I just did that to get SP Little Knight off the field, blow up their cards, summon Lord of Heavenly Prison, goodbye. They can't use spell cards because of their own Secret Village of the Spellcasters, which also is getting banned. So to be fair, there are 2 cards getting banned in this duel, 1 on each team. GG. Not that hard. A lot of fun. Yeah, it's just good to get back to the classics, in my opinion. You'll see for the first like probably 4 or 5 duels, I don't even really use the extra deck very much, and that's probably good. Having Pot of Extrav means that your extra deck is kind of we have a lot of double copies of cards just because we don't want to risk losing it when you use Pot of Extrav. But that draw 2 is huge. Like I think you see like a lot of the replays that I'm gonna show involve having Pot of Extrav either just like in my hand or I set it off of Lord of Heavenly Prison. Like it's just a card that you tend to see when you win, so make of that what you will. We cycled through Cursed Eldland, losing a card or 2, but we end up having this indestructible Eldlich, which the only way that they can get rid of this is they hard draw Forbidden Droplet, or if they destroy their own field spell while targeting a card that can get over 3,800 attack. So destroy your own field spell to double their stuff. They set it in the battle phase, so we can do whatever. We activate Conquistador here. Even if they quick effect synchro, we just pop the synchro and it doesn't matter. Okay, goodbye. They activate Sanguine Summoning, so now they're kind of out of plays. This is like whatever plays they use with their monsters is what they're doing. So a Torrential will deal with everything. Quick effect into this guy, you're destroyed, goodbye. He does get to come back from the grave and destroys one card, and this is the way that they do this. They either use this guy or the level 7 can come back and destroy their own spell trap. So they're going to destroy the field spell. He goes up to 6,000 attack, but he doesn't have any other monsters or the ability to attack multiple times this turn, so he's just done. And, you know, a Tenpei player doesn't like going into the grind game. At that point, he literally would have 0 plays, and I have multiple Karmic Cannons, I have my Eldlich traps. Yeah, he was donezo. I could make like a Typhon and bounce his extra deck monster to the whatever, back to the extra deck if I wanted to. I had all sorts of things I could do. All right, so this one is another Tenpei player. Oh my gosh, Pot of Extra. See, it's just so good. Like, you have to build your extra deck a different way because of it. But, like, that's one of the things that running simultaneous equation cannons, I really regretted. Like, having the ability to draw 2 and to search it super easily off of Lord of Heavenly Prison, it's just a bigger cost than maybe you might expect. All right, so now we have another full field. Obviously, Tenpai is probably going to have some way to destroy our back row, but we have Apophis, the swamp deity. This is a card that's really nice to set off of the extra deck monster. Oh, I think I banished both copies of it. This guy, Solo Hat Rabbit, can set a card that is a continuous trap that can turn itself into a monster. So Apophis, for example, is basically an Omni Negate if we have other continuous traps on the field. Feather Duster. So we do have to waste our Conquistador now, unfortunately, and without it being able to destroy anything. But we negated Feather Duster, so good luck with that. We're not activating any monster effects. They can't thrust into, like, some other spell. All right, they make Bident. It's going to summon a card back. That's fine. All their cards are unaffected. Okay, so right here, I was trying to do something really important. All of their cards are unaffected because of the field spell. And both of these traps, if I trap trick into a Karma Cannon would reset these to the spell trap zone. And because of the way Karma Cannon is worded, because they're not flipped face down in the monster zone, these guys don't then trigger the second effect of Karma Cannon and get sent to the graveyard. So right now, I can't activate Karma Cannon. If I get an Eldlich on the field, the Eldlich would flip face down, and then all of these other cards get sent to the grave. So them activating Ash Blossom here might actually save their life. Might. So now what they're trying to do, they're trying to go to the battle phase. In the battle phase, if I just had Karma Cannon, I would wait for them to go to the battle phase, activate Karma Cannon, they can quick effect synchro into whatever they want, but it gets flipped face down before it can do anything, and it's game over. Because I only have Trap Trick, if I wait till the battle phase, Trap Trick, they quick effect synchro into the level 10, and then once they quick effect into level 10, I can't activate Karma Cannon that I set off Trap Trick. So I wait for them to be done with their main phase. They're trying to enter the battle phase, Trap Trick into Karma Cannon. Now I'm hoping they go to battle phase, and then I can, do something. But so they quick effect, they do that, they add Kaiman. Okay, so they make this guy in order to pop the destructive Daruma Karma Cannon, which is actually a huge mistake. Like, if they just went to the battle phase anyways, I actually wouldn't have been able to successfully resolve Karma Cannon because, no wait, during the battle phase, they're not unaffected anymore. So yeah, if they'd gone to the battle phase, it would have flipped Karma Cannon, it would have been fine. Now during the main phase, they make this guy to pop it, but the field spell only protects fire dragon monsters. Because he's a dark, he can get flipped face down. Now because he gets flipped face down, all the other cards get sent to the graveyard. So game over. They had Kaiman in hand, so they could go to the battle phase and special summon again, but they had already used a ton of their monster effects that turn. They had already gotten a lot of them from the deck, and I also had a Torrential, and their cards aren't protected during the battle phase, so I could just blow everything up. Whew, that's a lot of talking for just saying you have to activate Karma Cannon at the right time. That's the sort of thing where this deck does require a certain level of skill, because if you activate Karma Cannon too early and it doesn't do anything, then you just lose. Or if you activate it too late and they make the level 10 that makes it so you can't summon monsters, then you just lose. So, strategy. All right, we're going against Fire deck. We make Skill Drain. They're doing some stuff. It's also a nice thing because there is a lot of different decks that have a lot of diversity in their play style, and sometimes it is good to just simplify things. And mostly activating there can only be one, just to be able to activate Lord and get a draw too. They get one draw off of Maxi though. Draw two, battle phase, pop, summon an Eldlich. This is where we can still play around there can only be one. Like next turn we can summon an Eldlich. Then we could link it off into something and get rid of one of our cards. I don't know. Okay, so they actually have the Horus cards, so that's really bad. They can play under Skill Drain and there can only be one, like they're not even there. So our only saving grace is specifically Destructive Daruma Karma Cannon. It's not even Torrential Tribute because King Sark can protect them all from being destroyed. So Karma Cannon, flip face down. Karma Cannon's just such a great card. Okay, Eldlich, Torrential. They're not protected when they're face down, so now if we destroy their King's Sarcophagus before they can start activating it, then we're good to go. We have to get rid of There Can Only Be One, because we can't banish Elixir to set a Conquistador to get a pop while There Can Only Be One is on the field. That's the nice thing about Eldlich too, is like you can get rid of your own floodgates when they've served their purpose. Pop the Horus monster, Skill Drain kills them. Good job. Nice. So simplified game states, a couple of key traps at the right time, and the Golden Lord is still kicking ass, even in 2025. Man. Yeah, I do apologize for not making more videos. I kind of got into a state where it's like I didn't want to make a video until I get a deck that can get to Master 1. And obviously this deck could. It get to Master 2 really quickly. Okay, send top fives to the... So this is against a Paleo deck. Okay. This is going to be tricky. We have to make sure that we know what's going on. Okay. We get their draw two. Reasoning. We're going to stop that. I don't want them sending multiple copies of Rollback to grave. I don't want to deal with it. So I activate Summon Limit mostly just so I can activate Lord. They activate Black Goat Laughs in the grave, but its effect only makes it so that you can't activate monster effects on the field, and we activated the effect in the hand, so it doesn't matter. They popped Summon Limit, which is really interesting. I feel like they should have popped the Extra. Whatever. We get rid of a Conquistador, which baits out a Karma Cannon, so that's going to enable us to make a lot more plays. We get rid of Solemn Strike. Now what are we going to do? Flip over, battle phase. Alright, can't destroy anything. I'll just flip them face over, it's fine. And we make Vaudress, which is an Omni Negate, and it just pops cards left, right, and center. This card is sick, okay? So obviously it has an Omni Negate to detach. But then it's like if they have like some other card you want to destroy, you negate one thing, you detach the second, and then you destroy some other thing on the field as well. Battle phase, you go to battle phase, and when you attack, destroy a card. If this card gets destroyed, guess what? You also destroy. So it's literally, you're destroying like 3 or 4 cards when you make this card. It's amazing. And then after that, you can like, whatever, link it off into like an SP or a Soul Hat Rabbit, or just make a Zeus. It's awesome. Okay. They're still drawing. Okay. They're going to make that. We're going to Solemn Strike it. Don't want to deal with it. They do get the 2 Paleos back in their grave, but whatever. Summon a Paleo, that's fine. Summon an Eldlich. Yeah, we haven't really needed to use Skill Drain yet. Okay. Battle phase. At the start of the battle phase, we can pop their back row. So, because it's at the start of the damage step, they weren't able to respond. We're going to negate that. We still have a negate. We haven't even activated Skill Drain. I would honestly, the main reason I would activate Skill Drain is if I had to activate Apophis. And obviously, since we have this guy, we, can wait a little bit. So they still have 1 Paleo Engrave. Okay, draw 2. So that Time Tearing Morganite's starting to add up, though. we're going to make them go -2. So they just lost a Karma Cannon in order to potentially draw 2 cards. We negated that. Yeah, they just have like nothing left. Total resource grind. Pure Eldlich took down the 60 card variant pretty easily. Yeah, I think that Vaudris gives Lord of Heavenly Prison way more value. Obviously, protecting your back row when there's so many Tenpai players around is already huge, and being able to summon him and get like a Pot of Extrav or something to get a draw too. But now that you can also XYZ him into like an Omni Negate, destroy 2 or 3 cards while he's on the field, is pretty sick. We could have used Apophis plus the Huaquero to negate that, but it's fine. Sometimes it's important to be patient. They summoned this guy. He was gonna like get rid of a card, which would allow them to summon, a monster back, and then they would summon a tuner. In this case, I just waited. I just took it out right there. They used an Ash Blossom, which only slows us down for like 1 turn. We drew an Elixir. We have a Conquistador, like full back row, while also having completely stopped their turn without using any floodgates. Okay, they summon that guy. We're just going to banish it. It's fine. Get banished, out of the grave. They use this. We're just going to pop them. So here I actually make a really interesting play. So I'm going to Karma Cannon, and I'm going to reset all of my Eldlich cards. And then on the next turn, we get Cursed Eldland, which is going to end up being fantastic. So 5 back row, and all we have is the Eldlich cards. Huaquero, Conquistador, Cursed Eldland, Eldlich. See how we go from 5 to 1 real fast. First, we banish a card in the grave that has an effect to special summon herself pretty easily. We also get a destroy, so we destroy that, which would have prevented us from attacking them by blowing up cards. We're going to use Chaos Angel. We synchro summon both of the trap monsters into Chaos Angel, banish another card. It was an imperm that they end up using, but it doesn't matter. We're getting rid of it one way or another. Now we XYZ summon into Vaudris. Chaos Angel is also a level 10, so he's going to try to blow up a card when he attacks, but they activate this trap to get rid of him, so that's another trap down. He's going to activate his Omni Negate. They activate another imperm. Obviously, we don't have another negate, but like we just got rid of 2 more traps. So they went from 4 to 1 like in an instant, and now Cursed Eldland had a Conquistador back, summon Eldlich. So here, if we had managed to hit their Called by the Grave earlier, that would have been great. I don't think we would have been able to because their imperm stopped it so that they could choose which ones we hit. But all this does is slow us down for a turn, and they have 0 plays, and Apophis plus a Conquistador is an Omni Negate. So they use Called By, which is fine. We just sent a Cursed Eldland to Grave, so we're going to use that to send our other Eldlich. So next turn, assuming they can't do anything, or that we're able to negate the one thing that they can do with Apophis, he's going to summon himself back by grabbing like a golden land trap or something, and then they're done. Also, we get to special summon our Vaudris back. He doesn't have an Omni Negate because he doesn't have any material, but, he's a big body, so they're toast. GG, easy money. Yeah, Vaudris and the Silohat Rabbit are awesome additions to Eldlich. Speaking of awesome additions to Eldlich, there have been like 2 or 3 cards that were announced a couple of weeks ago that are going to be added to Eldlich that I'm super looking forward to. They activate this, so special summoning from the hand is out. That's fine. Draw 2, Pot of Duality. That's another card that you can't use with a lot of my other variants, which just increases the consistency of the deck by a ton. Alright, Anti-Spell Fragrance, so no Feather Duster or anything for you. They activate that, it gets special summoning from the deck. We don't care. So the reason I torrential there, they only have 2 things they can do. They can normal summon a card, and then they can special something from the hand sometimes. Or they can use their spell card, Sanguine Summoning, to summon a card. So without any Tenpais on the field and having used their normal summon, and without the ability to activate spells this turn, they're done. So I'm assuming at least one of these is Sanguine Summoning to be used for next turn. Right now I'm just going to get some bodies on the field. Let the bodies hit the field. They get one summon, but it's fine. All right, link it off into Link Spider. We're going to try to make a Silhouette Rabbit. We'll see if it goes through. It does not. So I thought it was interesting that they're using Imperm now, just so that they can't set like a... Obviously, I would have set Apophis if I didn't already have it in my hand, but to prevent me from setting like a, you know, a Conquistador or something, I would have thought they'd wait till next turn, but whatever. All right, we've got a Conquistador, we've got a Apophis. I get rid of the Trap Trick just to have an Eldlich already on the field, so I'm going to have to worry about them having Ash Blossom. We do 5,000 damage pretty easily, and another Conquistador. So now we have Omni Negate, Non-Targeting Destroy, Karmic Cannon, and I'm assuming this card is Sanguine Summoning, because that's the only spell they're going to get to activate. Turns out it's actually Heavy Storm, so they want to destroy all my trap cards, and tough luck, I have an Omni Negate. Goodbye. If they had any other traps on the field, Silhouette Rabbit would have then destroyed it because I summoned a trap monster. Okay, they're popping off, they're popping off. I'm going to wait a little bit until I use Karmic Cannon. Silhouette Rabbit can't even be destroyed by battle, so goodbye. They did have another Ash Blossom, so it was really important that I get Eldlich on the field in that case. Because we activated a trap monster, Silhouette Rabbit destroys one of their cards. In that case, it was one of their Sanguine Summonings. I'm pretty sure the other is a Sanguine Summoning too, because they've searched for it twice now. So I would have just found a way to pop it either with like a SP Little Knight in the main phase 2 or something like that. So pretty great. You can see that we're crushing Tenpei, we're crushing Fire King Snake Eyes, all sorts of decks. All right, this is going to be the last one I showcase before I do a deck profile. Let's see what happens here. Pretty straightforward. Solemn Judgement, Torrential, Elixir, Conquistador. Okay, Solemn Judgement, no thank you. They're going to destroy Torrential, which is actually really bad. But luckily they don't have any more follow-up. In this case, I'm going to summon Huaquero just to get a card on the field. They had a Sky Striker card, so I'm actually assuming that they're not even Tenpei at all. They're just like a going second Sky Striker deck, which can be a lot of fun, but... Okay. Battle phase, do some damage, and then we'll make, in this case, I'm going to try to make the Silhouette Rabbit. We'll be able to get plenty of advantage off of summoning trap monsters and popping cards. They don't have any monsters in the grave, and if they're Sky Striker, I don't care a ton about banishing their monsters in grave, so I'd rather just have an Eldlich on the field. Don't want to risk them having Ash Blossom. So we have an Omni Negate and a Destroy. Okay, we're not going to be special summoning from the deck. Sanguine Summoning. Alright, let's destroy Sanguine Summoning, no thank you. They activate Raigeki, which doesn't do a ton. It would just destroy Silhouette Rabbit, but... Yeah, in this case I was kind of forced to use Apophis, because it's like, if I don't use Apophis, then Conquistador is destroyed, and then I don't have any other continuous traps to pair it with, so, you know, if it's use it or lose it, and I decided to use it. I bounce the rabbit, destroy Apophis, but next turn they're kind of done. We could make a Vaudris, we could make another Silhouette Rabbit. We have Cursed Eldland. Okay. Yep, another rabbit. Let's go. Get rid of a Conquistador. Cursed Eldland means we're going to be able to summon out Eldlich again. Yeah, so I would have summoned out Eldlich. I think I might have been able to kill them there. I can't remember what the life points were. But even if we don't, we make a Vaudris and we banish one of our Elixir spells in order to get online. GG. So a lot of fun. This is going to be a little bonus episode I'll do after the profile. Let's see my deck list. So super light on monsters, just 2 of the Golden Lord. I think the alternative art for him should come out like next month or something. It seems like it always comes out like in February. I don't know, we'll see. If you can get him, then he's pretty sick. And then obviously the traditional art of him, 3 copies of Lord of Heavenly Prison, which is amazing. He protects your back row. You summon him out. He sets a Pot of Extrav to get a draw 2. Otherwise, I've had some cases where I'll set a Solemn Strike because I know they have a very specific card that I will plan to negate with it. And then if they never use Solemn Strike, like if it was an Ash Blossom or something, then at the end of the day, I can just have Eldlich send it to grave. But protects your back row, 3k body, and a level 10, which means you can make Vaudris, which, like I said, destroys tons of cards. I like having Vaudris over the level 10 trains because the trains are like you have one train and then you have a different train that you need to go from one to the other. But with Vaudris, you can just have 2 copies, and then one might get banished off extra, but you're probably not going to lose both. So I've been running this instead of the trains. Maybe I should be running him and the trains, but I think it's fine. Pot of Duality, because we're not special summoning a ton, especially during our first turn. It's just a way to increase the consistency of the deck by a lot. Cursed Eldland is nice. You get additional going second. It's really good to add an Eldlich to hand to get a discard and then to get a body. Maybe you summon an Eldlich, you pop a card, and then you turn it into a Typhon, which is a pseudo floodgate and can bounce a card from the field back into the extra deck. Cursed Eldland's really good. Going first, it's not as good. Like, you often need Cursed Eldland plus an Elixir of Scarlett Sanguine so that you can cycle through all of your cards. But then all you've done is you've cycled through your cards to have an indestructible Eldlich on the field, and then the same things in the grave. So, but it's really good in the grind game if you draw it like going second or going third. It just gives you a lot of extra resources. Torrential Tribute and Karma Cannon are our go-to field wipes. Like, you just need a card that totally wipes the field, makes it so that there's no monsters that you care about left. Karma Cannon is better because it gets rid of link monsters, which there's a lot of. It gets rid of unaffected monsters, which you might be dealing with if you're playing against Tenpei. And then Torrential can just blow up a whole field, which even in 2025, this card from like 2003 is still amazing, and you should always run it. Elixir, we have our standard Eldlich package, which is 3 Elixir, 3 Conquistador, 2 Huaquero. You get non-targeting banishes with high attack. You get non-targeting destroys, which you can synchro into the Chaos Angel, or you can make into an XYZ with Constellar Pallades. I never end up making him. I always find that I'm going to make the Chaos Angel, or I'll link them both off and make them into like a Silo Hat Rabbit or an SP Little Knight if I'm ever planning to use them for stuff. So I'm guessing you could probably replace it with like a second Chaos Angel or something, but maybe you want to make him because it's a quick effect to return a card from hand to field, so sometimes that might come up more. And you also might make him just so you can go into a 3 material Zeus. I don't know, it's probably worth keeping. 3 copies of Ice Dragon's Prison. I should probably cut this down to 2. I think 3 was probably too many. 2 copies of Solemn Judgement. Solemn Judgement is great just to get removal for a really big monster that you don't want to deal with. If they synchro summon Brone de Fleur, just negate the summon. Obviously, if they make a really powerful card like a Harpy's Feather Duster, you just negate that. So Solemn Judgement is great. Solemn Strike is the go-to, obviously, because going second, you take out a single negate, and even if they have 3 more monsters that would have negated your effects, because it's a counter trap, you're just kind of done. And then our floodgates, I think anti-spell is getting limited to 1, and summon limit is getting banned. I honestly think that limiting anti-spell is fine. I felt like 2 was too many. I didn't end up showing the duels, but there were a couple of duels I had where I would have both anti-spell fragrances, and it would just be unnecessary. And I even have games where I would activate anti-spell, and then the game drags out for more than a couple turns, and it just doesn't help enough. So I think having 1 anti-spell is fine. I think summon limit being banned It's not great, but you know, you could either replace it with a rivalry. More likely, I would replace it with Power Sink Stone, which is kind of a combination of Summon Limit and Skill Drain. Or what I might do is I might drop one Ice Dragon's Prison, and I might add like 2 or 3 copies of Draco Utopian Aura, or the counter trap that negates any card activated on the field while also destroying a card in its column, like Iron Thunder. There are some plays that we might make, but you know, this is kind of the standard package. We also have 1 copy of Apophis, which we can set off of Silhouette Rabbit. Silhouette Rabbit sets either one of these. It sets one of these 6 cards, either one of your Golden Land trap monsters or an Apophis, which is sort of this omni negate depending on the number of other continuous traps around the field, not including itself. Um, it's solid. Vaudris I've talked about quite a bit as this goaded Eldlich support. Like I feel like I use it more than like Ubel uses it, which I think Ubel was the deck that like is supposed to use it the most often. Like I don't think I ever saw anyone else from my climb from like Diamond 5 to Master 2 use Vaudris other than me. So I don't know. I feel like it's Eldlich support more than anything. Oh, that's kind of crazy. Never ended up making Zeus. I always just kind of sat on Vaudris, and then if Vaudris used one material, I would just hold on to him for the next turn. I never made Constellar Pallades. If I made Typhon, you're not going to wait a whole nother turn to make Zeus the next turn. So honestly, I could probably see myself cutting Zeus for something else. The Link Spider Imduck thing is if you have 2 copies of Conquistador or a Conquistador plus an Apophis or whatever, some combination of multiple of these trap monsters, you link them both one into Link Spider, who has a down arrow, you make another into Imduck, who has an up arrow, and then you have 2 effect monsters which can make SP Little Knight or Silhouette Rabbit, which are the 2 link monsters that we make a ton. Yeah, I think that's a pretty good explanation of the extra deck. I had a lot of fun with it. It was pretty straightforward. I ended up getting a good amount of the deck example from the Eldritch Discord for Master Duel meta, and I thought that they did a great job. I made a couple adjustments, obviously, and I had a lot of fun playing with it. There are 2 new cards that are coming out, probably not for another like 4 or 5 months, that I'm super excited for though. One is there's a new Eldritch Trap monster that's been announced, where basically you can banish one of your Golden Land traps like a Huaquero. And right now, if you banish a Huaquero from the grave, you have to set an Elixir. But you're also going to have the option of setting this new trap monster, which is a level 10, and which can either be like compulsory evacuation device, like bouncing a card from the field to the hand or extra deck, or it can actually stay in the extra month in your trap zone and grab a banished card like a banished Conquistador or a banished Huaquero and set it to your field. So it's going to be great for the grind game. Like there are way too many times where I have both a Conquistador and a Huaquero in the grave. I banished both of them, and now instead of banishing both of them and grabbing 2 copies of Elixir, which really sucks, I can grab 1 copy of Elixir and 1 card that's like either an interruption or a grind game thing. And you could also use it in combination with Apophis, because if it's just chilling out in your spell trap zone, you don't need to feel like you're wasting activating a Huaquero just so that you have a continuous trap on the field to get your Omni Negate. You can activate it, but then leave it in the spell trap zone, and then have this card be an Omni Negate, and then either choose to, summon it or use it to have its effect to increase the grind game to keep grabbing your banished cards. It's pretty amazing. Okay. The other card that Eldlich is getting is an extra deck monster that would probably replace at least a couple of the Link Spiders and Imducks. As long as you have an Eldlich on the field or in the grave, you can turn either Eldlich or one of your summoned zombie monsters into this new like fusion summon monster, where it's like basically uh, it's like Thunder Dragon Colossus, where it's a card you summon out by just tributing a card that meets its criteria. And then you can, if that card is sent from the field to the graveyard, then you can summon out the Mad Eldlich, Mad Golden Lord, which is like 3,800, indestructible by card effects or battle, and can like steal your opponent's monsters, which we can never make because we can never fusion summon in this deck. But I'm really looking forward to it. I think the support's going to be really neat. And then there's also like a continuous trap that can reset it from the graveyard, which reset itself from the graveyard, which gets increases our grind game. And even in Master Duel, we haven't gotten the Link 2 monster Flying Mary the Pirate Ship, which is basically Solo Hat Rabbit, but instead you can grab a zombie monster that's been banished. For example, if they banished your Eldlich the Golden Lord with Called by the Grave or Ice Dragon's Prison or something, and then you can just grab your banished monster back, which would have been really nice in this last duel I'm going to show. So this is a little bit of bonus content for you. I climbed from Master 5 to Master 2, and then I had this really long game where, because I'd been playing for a while, I was starting to make mistakes. And then I went off and did some errands, and then I came back at like 5 p.m. my time, and it turns out that the season ended. I thought I had till midnight, but I only had until 5 p.m. So here we're going against Labrynth. So they do have the fact that they set Welcome Labrynth to me says they already have Big Welcome. They made a bit of a mistake here because they activate Big Welcome before they have Lovely on the field, and there's no other monsters to destroy. The only card they can destroy is Ariana. Like, Lord of Heavenly Prison is protecting my back row. So they summon Lovely, they destroy their own Ariana, which means the monster has left the field, which means they can pop a card in hand. I was really hoping they would pop the Huaquero, because then not only are my cards still being protected, but also my Huaquero has its graveyard effect. Unfortunately, they hit the Lord of Heavenly Prison that time. We have 2 copies of Ice Dragon's Prison, which is amazing against them. We activate There Can Only Be One, which would have prevented them from summoning a monster, which means it prevents them from popping a card, but whatever. In this case, I'm going to try to banish their Lovely. They really don't have a way to get her back when she's banished, so the 2 things you need to do against Labrynth are banish Lovely, destroy the field spell, and then outgrind them. Unfortunately, yeah, so we grab Karma Cannon. I'm really hoping they destroy Karma Cannon because I need Ice Dragon's Prison for next turn, but they do pop it. So even though they don't have Lovely to recycle their resources and get extra pops, they still have a field spell, which sucks because they're popping my back row one at a time. Now we set 4 cards, and in this case they do end up popping my Huaquero, which is really lucky. So we go from having only 2 interruptions to now having 3, which if they had popped There Can Only Be One, we would have gone from 2 to 1. So you win some, you lose some. All right, so they are running a variation where they have multiple copies of Lady. So now it's kind of a game. I don't know what this card is, but I'm pretty sure I know what the other 2 cards are. They have a Welcome Labrynth, and they have Big Welcome, I think? I don't know. Okay. So Karma Cannon to reset everything. We're going to pop the field spell, so now they don't get any more pops. Here, what I wanted to do, what I should have done, is I activate Karma Cannon, they chain this, then I chain There Can Only Be One, so that they can't summon any new monsters, and they actually have to get rid of one of their ladies. And then after that, I chain this to pop the field spell. The issue is if I had gone in that order, they would have used Big Welcome Labrynth's graveyard effect to bounce There Can Only Be One again. But at the same time, I mean, then they use it, and then I get to save it for next turn. So I probably should have done that. It would have helped to get rid of one of their big bodies. And then they grab Transaction Rollback, which is really bad. Transaction Rollback can banish both of my Eldliches, which is kind of the way that they want to win against me. Like, I win if I banish their big monsters. They win if they banish my big monsters. We've got a Conquistador, a Huaquero, and There Can Only Be One, which is very good against them, but it limits my own plays. So at this point, they took a super long time to play, and I was like, "What are you like planning to quit the game? Like, what's going on?" Now I realize what they were doing was they were doing math, and they did the math that there's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14 total cards. 14 minus 10 is 4. So they are able to, and so they probably have level 4 XYZs. So now they're able to actually resolve it. So now I have to pop my own Eldlich. By popping my own Eldlich, there's only 13 cards, and I only have a level 5, which makes it way harder for them to banish my entire field. So in fact, they don't banish anything. In this case, I'm planning to use There Can Only Be One pretty soon to slow the game down. So now I want to, while I still can, banish their other big welcome. Summon Eldlich, banish a card, goodbye. What I'm going to wait, though, is I'm going to wait until they have both of their ladies face up. And once they have both ladies face up, I'll activate There Can Only Be One, so they have to send one to the field. Or one from the field to the graveyard. In this case, though, they know that's what I'm going to do, so they leave one of them face down. So if I activate There Can Only Be One, the other is just going to be chilling here. But that also means that they destroy this card. This card's protecting them from being destroyed. Okay. They toss an Arius to get another big welcome, which has its graveyard effect, which is pretty annoying. Yeah, unfortunately, even though we've destroyed their field spell and banished Lovely, we're having a hard time outgrinding the fact that Lady can set literally any trap from the deck whenever we try to make a play. In this case, I make Chaos Angel to banish a card. They activate Transaction Rollback to copy Ice Dragon's Prison, and this is where I started making misplays. I forget twice this game that the card that you summon with Ice Dragon's Prison doesn't need to be the card you banish. So it says target a monster in your opponent's grave, special summon it to your field, then banish one monster from both players' fields that have the same effect. Normally the way this works is like I would grab one of their fiends, and then I banish both fiends to the graveyard. But in this case, even though they're stealing my zombie monster, they're going to banish their own fiend card along with my Chaos Angel, who is considered a fiend. So I was able to banish Rollback so that it doesn't have its graveyard effect, so they can't banish my entire field again. But, you know, that's not great. They trap trick into a Karma Cannon, that's fine. There Can Only Be One is still face down. They activate that, and in this case, I activate There Can Only Be One so that Lady doesn't get her search effect. Alright, we still have a Solemn Judgement, and we can't pop any cards because of There Can Only Be One. They grab another Rollback, oh no. Yeah, it's just the grind game is too much at this point. Yeah, the way that I like to win against a Labrynth, usually in the 60 card variant, is I use Rollback to copy Elemental Burst, and you have to do that before they set a Rollback to copy your Burst in the grave. So here, activate Eldlich, summon him, and they activate Rollback to grab an Ice Dragon's Prison, and literally the second time this game, I forget, oh no, they're going to grab a monster that's not a zombie, but they're going to banish both of my zombies. So I could have Solemn Judgmented here. I don't. And that also would have prevented them from setting a card, not that it matters. And at that point, we don't have Flying Mary, the Link monster, so we just have no chance of recovering our banished Eldlich. GG. So I wanted to show that game because first it shows that like the choices and decision making is super important. Like as you're watching, I bet that there was some way that I could have won that I wasn't thinking of at the time, just because I had just been whatever in the grind for so long. But also it's like even though we're playing a super basic 40 card Eldlich variant that's very similar to something you might have seen like when Master Duel first started 2 years ago, like we're competing with like a modern high level deck like Labrynth, for example, and obviously we're destroying a lot of other decks. I had a lot of fun with this. I'm gonna try to make another video pretty soon. I have a White Forest Eldlich deck that's ready to go. Oh, It would be really dumb of me not to mention. So Fiendsmith is coming out in like a week or something like that, and that's this deck where basically you add like 6 cards to your main deck and a couple cards to your extra deck, and suddenly if you have any 2 effect monsters, you can make a whole bunch of really interesting plays. Which means that decks that don't special summon a ton, like this variant, are going to be really important because everyone's going to be running their Mulchummies, their Maxies, their cards that are like hand traps, like Effect Veiler and Imperm. Having a deck where you can just set 4 traps, have like 3 interruptions, and make the rest of their hand full of hand traps completely dead is super valuable. But if we wanted to run some variant that includes the Fiendsmith cards, if we can make Beatrice, then we can quick effect on our turn, quick effect on our opponent's turn, send a rollback, send an elemental burst, and suddenly the 60 card variant where you have rollback, copy elemental burst to destroy your opponent's entire field becomes way more consistent. Super interesting to see when that comes out, but otherwise, I'll see you next time. Have a good one. Peace.